Let's try that wave again. Hello, everybody. My name's Margaret Pennard. Welcome to my channel. You're on BookTube. And we're live. So, what is happening today? It's Wednesday, which means a Wednesday wrap-up on my channel of books read in February. This is our second February wrap-up, and I've got 5 books for you. So, woo! That means 5 books since a week ago, which is pretty good. That's what happens when you read romance. It goes by quick. What can I say? So yeah, I've got 5 books to talk to you about. 1 is physical, 4 I'm going to pop up on the screen. This is your question of the day. What's a romance you'd recommend? So I'll let that scroll while we talk and then change things over for a bit. I've got a couple of announcements. I've got good notes on the books that I read so that I don't get all rambly, and hopefully make for a good Wednesday wrap-up for you today. Hi, Cole Gamer, and hi, RC. Shout out to the early birds in the audience. All right, so Wednesday, the overarching theme for this month's reads is the Black Author Tuber Readathon, which I started last year and I'm continuing this year. If you're curious, the pitch is, there's Black History Month, which is like a big old thing, and then there's like our little community of AuthorTube, which is maybe somewhere where I can make some difference. And so that's what I decided to highlight is books by Black author tubers, people that I know, people that I don't, people with channels here on YouTube. So check out their books. I've got the link in the chat for it's a Google spreadsheet. You can check out the recommended books. You can add books. You can sign up. You can buddy read. You can ask people what they're reading, etc., etc. Not that kind of bat. Nope, Black author tuber. So I call it the Bat Readathon in my little shortened link. Nice to see you. Hello, Book Time with Ryan. So that's the theme for the month, and that is why I will start off with the Black Author Tuber book first. So this week's Black Author Tuber book, if I can coordinate this, was a sports romance. So Black romance book involving sports, which if you know me and you follow my channel, is not really my thing. So, stretching a little bit, getting out of my comfort zone. In His Corner by Alexandra Warren. She has a great channel. You can check it out in the spreadsheet that I just linked. And let's see. Let's consult the notes. So 4.25 stars, which is a really good rating from me. I love the main characters. I love the best friend. The subplots were very good. The dialogue was spot on. It made me laugh out loud. I highlighted lots of funny passages that were entertaining and obviously made me laugh out loud. I found the plot timing to be really good. The suspense reveals and like things happening together at the same time. Very great choices. I would say for people who watch out for certain themes, the content in this does include pregnancy, and it does include some discussion of abuse and like long-term effects. So there is that to be aware of, but didn't affect my enjoyment of it. I don't usually like romances that have pregnancy in them. It's not my thing, but this one, there was enough other stuff going on, and the story was great, and the main characters were very compelling. So boxer dude, journalist gal, and like lots of other things conspiring to push them together and pull them apart. So great book, great romance, definitely recommend. In His Corner, Alexandra Warren for Black Author Tuber reads. Stopping by to say hey. Well, thank you. All right, so that is book number 1, highly rated, easily available on the Bookshop. I got the link especially for you in the description below, so no excuses. All right, the next book is something I got on Libro.fm. And if you don't know, my little pitch for Libro.fm is they are the audiobook purveyor of choice for all, I don't know, readers with, I don't want to say taste, but it's an alternative to the big A. So hence my pushing it. I got How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith from Libro.fm on audiobook. He's the author and he narrates it himself. Quick note, I read his poetry book before this where he calls himself Clint Smith III. So I've been calling him the third this entire time till I realized when I looked at the cover that he dropped it for this because I guess he's a big enough name that people just know which Clint Smith they're talking about, which is fine. He's phenomenal. So poetry, while it's not exactly in my wheelhouse, I do enjoy, and usually there are some that I will really appreciate in a collection. So I liked his collection, Descent, I think it's called, with the orange cover. And this one is a nonfiction that was very, I'd say hyped, but not in the way that I hate. More like Warmth of Other Suns. Like everyone was saying it was really good and not in a gushy way, but just like in a profound, affected, everyone needs to read this way. So this book is a nonfiction about America reckoning with the history of slavery. And what he does as a framing device is visit 7 different places that are engaging with, grappling with, trying to educate about or portray in some way the history of slavery in America, in the Americas. And he said there were lots of places, but he picked these 7 very deliberately and with intention. So, oh, hey, Jennifer Brown, welcome. So let me go back to the notes. So again, I don't get too off topic. Oh, 5-star, very easy to give 5-star. Some of the things that I really liked, like just little things that aren't like the quality of the prose, but like things that surprised me that stood out. He has quotes at the beginning of every chapter that really have a profound effect. And I kind of get a glimpse of what they might mean when he introduces them as an excerpt. And then when he goes on, usually very quickly, to explain the context of the quote, you're like, ah, damn. Like, yeah, he does a lot of great reveals and just like shining a spotlight on, I guess is what I would call it. So I really liked those quotes. They gave me a good impression. Clint Smith is a poet, and in some places that really comes to the fore, and some places it sort of fades back into the background. There is one of the odd things I thought was very poetic of him to do was that most of the places where he went, he interviewed people and talked to tour guides and talked to like museum directors and whoever was like running the program, and he would describe what they were wearing, whether they had a receding hairline, where their glasses were on their face, like the creases in the pants. And it was obviously to give you a physical description and sort of paint the scene for you. But it always kind of left me scratching my head. It was just like a paragraph, but it was like very fine detail, like a fine pointed pen when I really want like a bold rollerball stroke. So that was that was a funny sort of choice, but it's there. Probably because of the poetry background. He also has a substantial epilogue. So when I was trying to keep track of how many places he'd gone through and how much time there was left on the audiobook, I saw that there was like an hour and it seemed to be that he'd been to all the places, and then I realized it was an epilogue, and that epilogue is quite substantial. So he goes into his own family history and what he's discovered. And if you've followed the channel and know that I reviewed Morgan Jerkins' Wandering in Strange Lands, you'll know that like there's a parallel there, a little related note. They both did it very well. He was very personal about talking to his grandparents about what their experiences were. And what stood out for me in this section was they lived through the after effects of slavery, but also how it was really seen and borne out in their education, and how that is really the pervasive thread of how these legacies get handed down. So I thought that was a really great note to end on. Um, so I had this book for a while, and like it was one of those that it's going to be really heavy on my heart. I'm a little scared to engage with it, but I would say this book is substantive but not scary. Yes, it talks about horrific topics, but Clint Smith does so in a way that is serious, thoughtful, scholarly, but not like off-putting at all, don't worry. And really honest and like grappling. You're watching someone sort of toss back and forth. This is what we value. This is what's happened. How do we change this? Or why do people think this? Or I'm doing my best to reach across and understand. And this is how it's unraveling, that kind of thing. So obviously, 5 star, really, really loved it. Would recommend this to everybody and their mother. So yeah, second book by Clint Smith, and second book of this review. Excellent, excellent choice. Next one, what do we have? So this was my Libro.fm. What else have we got? I think my next one is going to be my physical books. Let me get it out here. This might require a little explanation for some of the viewers. So, Becoming the One by Sheleana, Aiyana. And here's the book, so that just to give the visual cue. It's a self-help book. I don't know if you could tell. Sometimes you can tell by the type of cover. And before you go running away screaming, here's my quick background with self-help. I think around 2005 to 2010 is my like self-help era. I graduated. I'd gone through a couple jobs. I was really sorting through what I wanted to do with my career. And then I had a big breakup and a sort of switch around and grad school. And there was a lot of change and transition and shakeup, etc. And so I felt very comforted by talking through these things, or in my head, going through these things with psychology books and self-help books that really sort of help you try to sort out decision making and prioritizing and wishcraft, if anyone is familiar. So after 2010, that sort of slowed down. My self-help era sort of like lapsed, and since then it's been sort of like need to read basis, like when I'll search out something in particular, and that's what this is. So a couple weeks ago, I went into the Metaphysical Bookstore in Portland, Oregon, New Renaissance, which is amazing. And I sort of went into this section that was about relationship stuff because I was feeling like out of my league in terms of working on myself in order to be good in a relationship. And so they have an extensive book section, and I went through and I picked this one out. It's by a BC Canadian author, so Pacific Northwest, but in Canada. And she has her own company. It's called Rising Woman. And basically has done a lot of therapy work, a lot of embodiment work, a lot of sort of retraining scripts and internal stuff. And she seems pretty phenomenal. Website and everything. And I have rambled on, so let me return to my notes. It was just the right time to see the points she was making. So fingers crossed. I got a lot from this book. I think I give it 4.25. So that's a good rate, really good rating for me. I feel like there is a good amount of jargon in this book and like woo-woo words and concepts. So it does assume some familiarity with the self-help genre, but it also assumes like good faith and that you're not like trying to get quick strategies to XYZ or a quick fix. It's for people who, I mean, you read on the front, heal your past, transform your relationship patterns, and come home to yourself. So really for me, it was that like, what is my relationship pattern, and really kind of thinking through that. And I found that really valuable, especially the concept of self-abandonment, which is when you feel like you want something so badly, you're willing to give up things that you should hold firm for yourself in order to get it, which makes the pillar you're standing on like crumble. So, yes, yes. And if that rings true with anyone, there you go, becoming the one. So yeah, definitely recommend. Enjoyed it. It was the right timing for me. And even if it's not like in the genre that you usually read, maybe if you find yourself in that position, you'd get curious and seek that out as well. No Batman, Bat Readathon, but thank you, RC, for popping in. All right, so that's 3 books. What have we got next? Next, I've got 2 more romances. I mean, it is February. Come on. So, let's do something before we do that. My little announcements. So, upcoming, speaking of romance, if you know SD Houston's channel, we are going to be talking here. Same bat time, same bat channel, different bat time. On Friday, 10 a.m. my time in Pacific. And we're going to be discussing a Black AuthorTuber readathon book. So that is Willed to Adam by Deidre Ann Anderson. It's a novella, so it's a pretty quick one, but I'm pretty sure we'll have some interesting things to talk about. It's a light BDSM Black romance. So very interesting. New for me. I'm thinking it's new for Shannon. We'll see. So come by on Friday morning for that. And then my other announcement is Saturday afternoon, 5:30 my time. I am hosting the AuthorTubers Host Karaoke once again. So it's AuthorTubers Host. It doesn't mean that you have to be an AuthorTuber. Anyone can come on, especially BookTube friends. Come on, sing some love songs. I've got 3 picked out, and I've got a massive karaoke backlist that anyone can use to get ideas. But yeah, the 70s love songs I think are going to be the highlight. So if you're curious about that or just want like a good time to laugh out loud and relieve some tension, Saturday night, Barrett will be on to help me host karaoke live on the channel. Okay, so those are my 2 announcements, and then I have 2 more books to get back to. Hi, Leslie. Good morning. So the 4th book I have is one that I also put off for a long time, but not because I was scared of it, more like I was holding it off as a reward, and that is Radiance by Grace Draven. This is, I think, bigger on TikTok than it is on YouTube, which may have been where I saw it. But RC, when I had to buy books to leave reviews on Amazon because I wanted to leave a review for his first book last fall, this is one of the ones that I got when I was like, oh, I have to get stuff on Kindle to get their minimum price per year, whatever. So I had an excuse to buy it, which isn't that hard for me to find. And I loved it. Spoiler alert, it's a fantasy romance, if you can't tell, again, by the cues on the cover. Let's see, fantasy romance, I gave it 4.5 stars. So again, excellent week, definitely recommend. But there are some unique things about this book. If any of you know Kazen at Always Doing, she gave this 3 stars because it was very low stakes and she found herself like falling out of interest with the plot. And I would have said that I wouldn't be a big low stakes reader either, because like the cozy fantasy romance stuff I see on TikTok, I'm like, I kind of want some more tension. But here's what kept me interested. It has a unique take, right? It's not Beauty and the Beast. You know why? Because it's an arranged marriage where both of the people in the marriage are considered ugly by their respective kingdoms/races. So I was like, that's brilliant. I thought that was so good. So at the beginning, you have a lot of humor around their honest take on like being honest with each other, and like saying, yeah, I think you're ugly. Yeah, this is really scary. Yeah, you almost made me want to hurl. Like, it's just really funny as a start to a relationship. But they swallow it because they realize that they're sort of pawns in a kingdom diplomatic arrangement kind of stuff. They're like, this has been my destiny. I'm going to marry for political reasons. It's fine as long as I have a friend. And so there we have a second trope, arranged marriage, but also slow burn, right? Starts out very slow burn. So I liked that unique take. I thought the main characters were a bit perfect. I mean, Storygraph has are the flaws of the main characters one of the main themes, and I would definitely say no in this case. They're both pretty perfect. But low stakes is the thing. So it's basically like exploring, friendship, slow burn, that is the main focus, and world building. So here's another thing that I liked. Really well drawn world cultures. The conflict involved may be off the rack. It may be not very specific to the world. It's like a neighboring kingdom threatening blah 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 to take over. But the cultures and their traditions and their dress and their weapons and their grieving rituals, like the world building was really well done. So I love that a lot. Slow burn, some steam, in case anyone is worried about that, and definitely satisfied my romance cravings. So, Radiance, yes. I don't know if I'll buy the next. Again, the other books in this world are available elsewhere than on Kindle. But this one, as you'll see, as I was forced to put an Amazon link in my description, is only available on Kindle as far as I could find. Tiffany, hello. Hello, hello. Richard, hello, hello. Haven't seen you in a while, Richard. Hope you're doing okay. And Tiffany, hope you're still on the mend, feeling better. All right, we're almost to our last book number 5, which is, surprise, another romance. But this one is a sweet romance. So I am going to recap for all the variety that I'm giving you today. So don't worry, we'll cover it. So this is one of my favorite authors. This is Mimi Matthews. She has done a ton of work in historical research for her various eras of historical novels. And so her blog is a gold mine. If you're doing any sort of Regency or Victorian writing and you need background research, stuff on costumes, stuff on rituals, stuff on legal stuff, like she's such a good resource. So Mimi Matthews, the author, bow down, bow down. But this one in particular, let's dive in. The Work of Art by Mimi Matthews, I gave 4.25. So let's see how it measures up. It's a Regency sweet romance. So Mimi Matthews writes sweet romance in slight contrast to Radiance, the fantasy romance. And let's see, we've got a wounded but honorable man who's the love interest, and a female main character who is, again, a little perfect, but hey, escape fantasy, it's fine. And she's in a dangerous situation. So the twist that we're given that solves the mystery element is not my favorite in terms of inevitable and satisfying. But for me, the main story was about the two main characters building the trust, the acceptance, and having the patience to like work through their issues, like trauma slash danger situations. So without like trying to give away anything. And so the high points of this for me were the developing love story, the historical background, the humor, and like, I don't know, good character that's being modeled, because I feel like sweet romance is what gives me that most. So like learning how people can be good people, which who wouldn't want that in a book? I can tell you who wouldn't want that in a book, RC, but that's okay. This book is not for him. Yes. Oh, that's why Richard's been quiet. He has a book out on Monday. Sign up to the newsletter for updates. All right. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, so that is my lovely note takings on all 5 books that I've read in the last week. The ones that I have in train, so getting ready for next Wednesday's wrap up, include, let's see, I've got a book of poetry. It's called Inward by Young Pueblo, which is a pen name. It's interesting. I'll have a lot to say about that. I'm reading The Afro Minimalist's Guide to Living with Less by Christine Platt. Also interesting. What is the other one I'm listening to? Jollof Rice and Other It's like interlocking stories. That's what I'm listening to on Libro.fm. Oh, and this one I'm going to be starting, The Last Train to Key West by Chanel Cleaton. This is our Patreon book pick. So there we go. If you're curious, Patreon_MP4 is my like bit.ly link for Patreon info. If you're curious and want to like join the book club with us, this year, instead of floating books and then seeing if they got shot down by the people on my book club level, I'm putting out a poll and getting sort of outsider information. So you may see those polls pop up on YouTube or Twitter. Feel free to weigh in. It's just going to give us extra information, but we'll, end up deciding on our own. And let's see, what else? I've already told you about the coming attractions in the chat. We've got Friday, a buddy read discussion of Deidre's book with Shannon and myself here on the channel Friday morning. And Saturday afternoon, evening, we've got karaoke on my channel with Barrett co-hosting. And the theme, of course, is love, if you didn't get the message with this week's theme. Sweet Regency romance. Yes, I read 5 books in a week. That's what happens when you read romance. It's just like, whew, hot stuff. You got to finish. Does it actually feature a train to Key West? I think it must, Richard. I know the big conflict thing is a hurricane that's like, pressuring the last train issue. It's hurricane novel. So yes. I mean, the audiobook of Clint Smith took more than a week, but I finished it in the last week. So yeah. I am prioritizing the Black reads. So yes, that is like the highlight this month. That and romance, if you can't see where they like overlap. So I think that is it for today. I've got some errands to run around and do, but hopefully this has helped you maybe find a book that you might want to put on your TBR, or maybe find a Black author tuber that you want to support. I don't have a Black author tuber book marked off for next Wednesday's wrap up, but there probably will be one. We'll see if I just grab another one off the spreadsheet or what. But hope to see you Friday morning for me with Shannon on the channel to do a buddy read. And yeah, full moon energy. Just enjoy the week, folks, and happy reading, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Richard.